Hey everyone, welcome to Meeple Bits. Thanks for joining me for this setup and how-to for the game Steam Up, A Feast of Dim Sum. A game for 2 to 5 players with a playtime of an hour or less. As we go through this setup and how-to, you'll notice maybe some components are a little bit different, so please keep in mind that this is the deluxe version of the game, so not all pieces you may look like what you have. Additionally, we're going to use the first player token, which is the squishy bow bun, which again was an additional add-on during the project. So please keep that in mind that if you don't have it, it wasn't something that came with the game. So with that, let's go ahead and dive right into this setup and how-to. Hey everyone, welcome to what will be a 2-player setup for the game Dim Sum. To begin, set up the main play area by placing the main Dim Sum board in the center of the table for all players to reach. Place the scoreboard as well as the card area kind of next to the main area, again, available for all players to reach. Then deal out 18 fate cards, discarding the rest to the box. Take the fortune deck, make sure it is shuffled, and put that on its respective location. Next, take the dim sum marker, placing it on the available slot for your number of players. So here it would be for 2 to 3 players at the 12 slot, at the 16 slot for 4 players, and the 18 slot for 5 players. So for this 2-player game, we're going to hover the 12 spot. Take all dim sum tokens, as would be represented by their colored border. We'll be using the deluxe edition, so our dim sum pieces are going to be different. But if you have tokens, the dim sum tokens are the ones that have the colored border around them. Next, find the ring within the box. There should be 2 of these. One that has 2 dots on it, the other side having 3 dots, and the other ring having 4 and 5. Choose the side with the dots of the total number of players for your game, placing it on the outer ring of the main dim sum board, lining up the yellow hash to the yellow arrow. Yellow, orange, probably orange. Put the lucky die in reach of all players, and hand all players a reference card, telling them the 2 actions available on their turn, as well as the starting, game end, and final scoring. Now that the main dim sum area is complete, we are ready to begin filling our steam baskets with dim sum. So there should be a total of 18 steam baskets. You want to essentially set them up in groups of 3. Sorry, 3 groups of 6. So something similar to this. The first group of 6, you're going to take all the dim sum that you should place into the bag, into the draw bag, which I will bring into camera in just one moment. So take your dim sum pieces, fill up this dim sum bag. We got a runaway dim sum. Fill up your dim sum bag, and then begin filling your steam trays. The first area should receive 2 dim sum pieces each. The second set of 6 receiving 3, and the last set of 6 receiving 4. So stay tuned, we're going to fill up these trays and come right back. So when you're finished, your 3 sets of 6 should look something like this. Then what you want to do, well, actually we're missing one over here. So when you're finished, your 3 sets of 6 should look something like this. Keep all remaining dim sum in the draw bag and set it off to the side, again within reach of all players. Next, you're going to just sort of randomly stack these into sets of 3. So grab one, placing it over the others, and again, as random as possible, just take them and place them onto the board. And with that, the setup for the main area is complete. For the player setup, randomly assign each player 2 of these character boards. For purposes of this game, player 1 is going to be the food blogger, Pig, and player 2 is going to be the magician. They're off camera over there, I assure you. I'll try to put them into view. Well, I guess I'm going to need to keep them over here. The best way that I like to do it is take these tokens, shuffle them up as best as you can, and then just randomly deal out 2 to each player. Each player then, having the 2 in front of them, will choose which one they want to keep, returning the other to the box. Take the corresponding token of that player, placing it onto the score track. You can set these up either standing up or facing down, but you want to put the number 35 on the face down. Then determine a first player and give them the first player token. For this video though, we're going to use the add-on Little Dim Sum Squishy for the first player. And we're going to assign that to the food blogger here. And then lastly, get ready to set up your main play board as per the existing player that you've chosen. So player 1 being the pig and player 2 being the rabbit. So let's take a closer look at those boards while making that decision. On each player board, you'll see the starting resources that you would receive, as well as an ability which will tell you when it's possible to use that ability. The layout of the dim sum area shows you the victory points that would be available when collecting dim sum pieces for those respective ingredients, or for the respective food. So the food blogger here would receive 2 different dim sum tokens and 2 fortune cards. So player 1 would take, let's say, a dumpling and a chicken claw. Player 2 would receive 1 starting token and 2 fortune cards. So they're going to just take a sticky rice. Next, player 1 will draw their 2 fortune cards, bringing those into their hand. And the same with player 2. Once all players have received their starting resources, you're ready to begin play, and that completes the initial setup. Steam Up is a game played out over a course of rounds where the player with the most hardy points or victory points at the end of the game is the winner. How you acquire them is by filling up your board with dim sum pieces from the Steam baskets. On your turn, in accordance to the reference card, you're going to do 2 actions per turn. This is not an option, it is a must. You must do 2 things on your turn, and we'll go ahead and cover those now. On your turn, a player may gain 1 token from the supply, any which one they want. A player may draw a fortune card, and then they may rotate the table in any direction 90 degrees. So you must draw the card. You have the option to spin the board or rotate the board. You may play a fortune card from your hand into the discard pile, doing the action as indicated on the card. Example, this action card says to move the top steamer from any stack to the top of an adjacent stack. So you would move 1 from here to say over here. One caveat is that a steam stack may not be greater than 5. So right now they start off as 3 and you cannot stack it more than 5. If a space ever becomes empty, you can fill it with such a card. But if it is empty, then that would be a zone that is completely empty and you would not be able to pull from. A player may exchange 2 of their fortune cards for 1 of the dim sum tokens. And lastly, a player may purchase a steamer from the main play area. So when you're drawing a card or playing a fortune card, those 2 actions then allow the player to additionally rotate the board 90 degrees. Whenever a player purchases a Steam basket through any means, whether that be from an action or from a card, you will reduce the Steam tracker down by 1. The game will play until either 1, the Steam counter reaches 0, meaning in this 2-player game, 12 total baskets had been purchased, or the 18 cards from the Fate deck have been resolved. In both cases, you're going to finish the round so that all players have an equal number of turns. When starting the round, the player with the first player token will begin play by doing their 2 actions on their turn, and then all other players in clockwise order will go. The only time this first player token will be passed is through the action of a card. You do not pass this on in between rounds. It will stay with the player who has acquired it for the game unless it is taken from them by an action card. And that's it. Steam Up will continue to play, each player doing their 2 actions, resolving them, and then continuing play until the end of the game, and then the player with the most victory points wins. The last piece is in between rounds. So in this 2-player game, player 1's going to take their 2 actions, and player 2 will take their 2 actions. In round 1, you do not flip a fate card. Starting in round 2 and all subsequent rounds, before the player takes their turn, whoever the first player may be, you will draw and resolve the top card from the deck. So let's go ahead and dive in to a couple of rounds of dim sum to give you guys an idea of what this looks like. So here in round 1, we are not going to flip the first fate card. That will not happen until round 2. So player 1, let's say they're going to scan the dim sum areas. This one has two bao buns. This one's got a shumai and a bao. This one's got a dumpling and a shumai. So they've already acquired a dumpling and a chicken feet. So they need to, let's say they want to purchase this basket. They're going to first, on their first action, draw a token. Action 1, draw a token. Complete. Action 2, they're going to purchase a Steam basket. Let's go ahead and purchase this. And sorry, that's actually one thing that I missed, so sorry, I should have put this a little bit sooner in the video. Yeah, on all player counts, so in this 2-player game, you'll notice sort of an orange ring that goes around one side of the Steam ring, and the other side doesn't have that. That means that you may only select dim sum trays from your zone. So in this 2-player game, this acts as my zone, and the other player would essentially be across from me, so this would be their zone. I can take from this Steam basket or this one, which is shared between both sides because it is between us. The other player may take from this basket or this basket. In a case where, let's say this table were rotated 90 degrees, like this. Now, there isn't anything on the axis here, so I as player 1 would have access to this Steam tray and this one. I would not be able to take from anything else. This side of the ring is unplayable for all players in a 2-player game. As an example, if this were a 3-player game, let's go ahead and rotate this back to the starting position. In a 3-player game, you would line it up like so. And then you'll notice that the ring is completely around, showing you that all zones are available. But again, each player may only take from the area that is for them. So you'll notice a little marker here where a player would be seated, and that's where they're able to draw from. So you would use the hash marks here, here, and here as where the players have access to pull from. So on my turn, going back, I'm going to go ahead and purchase this Steam basket, taking my tokens, placing them back into the supply, drawing this Steam basket into my hand. I will keep this, it does not get discarded. I will place my dim sum tokens onto the board, like so, and each one of those were worth 1 victory point apiece, giving me 2 victory points. And then those would be my 2 turns, or my 2 actions. Now it's player 2's turn. They, on their turn, have an ability. After purchasing a steamer, you may swap one dim sum inside it with another dim sum in any top steamer on the turntable. Meaning, say they were to purchase this steamer but didn't want the dumpling, they could swap that for the bao bun like that if they purchased a steamer on their turn. And they would have access to any steamer, including those outside of the feast zone. So here on player 2's turn, let's say they want to, here we go, play this card. Choose one of the top steamers, return all of its dim sum to the bag, and then draw the same number. So they will play that card, putting it into discard, and let's say they want to take this one, returning it to the bag, and then drawing back out two more items. And on their turn, because they played a card, they may rotate this turntable. So let's say they want to rotate it 90 degrees in this direction to have access to some different items, like so. And stepping back, I'm going to move down this Steam tray 1 because player 1 did purchase a Steam tray, so this one goes down by 1. So that was their first action, and for their second one, let's say they're going to go ahead and purchase or take a token like so. That completes a round. Now, starting with round 2 and all subsequent rounds, to begin the round, you're going to draw the first fate card. This one says, player with the fewest HP or victory points may rotate the turntable to any position. So player 2 is behind, so they would have the opportunity to rotate this into any position they want. So let's say they wanted to give it another rotate like so, bringing these items into their area. And then player 1, or the player with the first player token, would begin play, again taking their 2 actions and continuing through the game. So that's it. That's going to do it for this one, guys. If you, I'm going to go ahead and tear down the table and bring you guys my afterthoughts. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that setup and how-to for the game Steam Up, A Feast of Dim Sum. With that, let's go ahead and dive right into my afterthoughts, starting with components. Yeah, so for the deluxe edition, I don't know how to compare it to this base game, so I don't 100% know what is or is not the same, but I do know that primarily the dim sum pieces are these kind of squishy-ish type of tokens instead of just the punch board. Now, when I demoed this at Gen Con, I recall the pieces being quite a bit squishier, similar to that of the first player Baobun that I had purchased with the game. However, the final product is closer to something akin to the berries that you would get in the Everdell game. So not necessarily a bad thing, but man, I was really hoping that they would be that super squishy texture like the first player Bao. But neither here nor there, it's better than Punchboard, and I do love that. So otherwise, it's yeah, the pieces are really good. The insert, yes, I know there was an add-on insert. Could be a little bit better, but I'll address that down the line. So going into my impressions of this game, starting with, I guess, let me tackle 2 players since that is the count that I played the most of. It plays okay. It plays just okay at 2-player. In each 2-player playthrough, the scores were close, like 1, 2, or 3-point swing, which, yeah, that's cool, and I like a close game. But I guess because there was really only one other player at the table, and there was if you're attacking someone or taking something or thwarting it, you're only thwarting one other person. So it really just sort of fell for me a little flat in the 2-player category. Moving up to a 4-player category, the game got a little bit better because now there was a bigger fight for the dim sum steamers. So you're really trying to maximize your turn and figure out, all right, what do I have to get done here? And if I rotate the table in such a way, I know that this person isn't going to get a chance to get what they're going for. So there's more strategy and kind of take that than in the 2-player realm. With all of that said, though, my main problem with the game, and I guess and this is definitely personal opinion because for me it's I don't fully enjoy a game whereby there's no end game scoring that keeps a semblance of mystery to essentially who is going to win. So during the course of play, and as the Steam trays are coming to the final, 1, 2, or 3, you can glance at the scoreboard and not much is going to change. In your end game condition, you're only going to get, 1 victory point for every couple of cards that you have, and you might lose one if you have some spare tokens. spare tokens wasn't something that we really encountered a whole lot. But my point being is that by the time the end game is about to happen, you already see essentially who's going to win. So yeah, that again just pulls back again. Now, not that the play experience was unenjoyable because it was fun. But once you get close to end game, you already see, oh well, shit, I'm not gonna win. I think this could be easily addressed by adding in a it's a lazy way of doing it, but it could work, a secret objective, whether that be um, have the most fortune cards at the end of the game, have the most dim sum pieces on your board, have purchased the most steam baskets, or have the least amount of um, bow dim sum pieces. I don't know. There's a number of things where you could start to mix it up a little bit for some form of end game mystery. So it's like, all right, during the play, you might see that I'm behind, but what you didn't know is that I was going to get 5 victory points for completing my objective, which was going to bump me ahead. And 5 victory points is a lot in this game because the scores are close in pretty much every playthrough. And again, that's a good thing. But no matter how close it is, you already see who's going to win. So why is Dim Sum a game you may want to add into your collection? Well, for me, it's an easy to learn and easy to play game. So pretty much anyone can pick it up and get playing in an instant. And it's not so complex that it's not understandable, but it also doesn't play so quickly that it's like, oh man, that was so easy and so quick. So those two things definitely positives in my book. The reason why you may not want to add this game into your collection is really because, as I mentioned, there's no real mystery to who's going to win. Especially if someone does somehow just get ahead, they're pretty much staying ahead. So the game's done. So no matter what you're doing, if a person is up by 10 points, they've pretty much win. So if you don't want to play a game where a player at the table who is in last knows they're in last and it could take away from the fun factor for them. Not that winning is everything, but you're playing to win. You want to have a sense of, man, I'm playing this, but I have no chance of winning. So, yeah, enough harping on that one. So that'll do it for this one, guys. If you have any questions about Dim Sum, or sorry, Steam Up, please leave a comment down below. I'm happy to answer them as best as I can. If you've enjoyed the video, I do appreciate the support. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And as always, everyone, until next time, thanks so much for watching.